I'm Stephen Mullins. You can call me Steve. My friends call me Steve Areno from my radio days. And every now and then, I actually get somebody to yell at me. Hey, Steve Areno. And I'm like, wow, I haven't heard that in 15 years. But I'm the new Regional Power Grant Coordinator for Area 1. The Southwest Virginia Workforce Development Board got this grant earlier this year, and I was hired on in the middle of May to coordinate things for Area 1. Some of these monies are also available for Area 2. I'm not responsible for that part of it, but I am coordinating with them because Area 2 is a huge partner for us. We're taking an extremely regional approach for the purposes of helping to build a regionally diversified economy. And what I wanted to do with this info session is just that, is give you some information about what the Power Grant, the Power Initiative is, and also a little bit in a few minutes later what it is not. But that way you have a clear understanding and clear expectations of what's possible and what this can provide for dislocated coal industry workers, which is the target. This grant is specifically designed. And notice I use the phrase very much on purpose, and I use it, I hammer it all the time, dislocated coal industry workers. Now if I were to say laid off coal miners, that would be a huge group within the bigger group, but it's not just miners. Anyone who's been affected by a layoff and they are in what we call the coal economy or the coal industry, anywhere along the supply chain. If, for instance, you work for a company that contracts with a coal company, that counts. If you work for a company that works for a company that contracts with a coal company, that's all coal reliant, and so that would qualify as well. There are three big areas that I want to talk about. I want to go over them very quickly and then have some other people talk. First of all, and not in any particular order, the Southwest Virginia Alliance for Manufacturing, the acronym, I love the acronym, SPAM. SPAM has centers of excellence, Abingdon, Duffield, and a new one in Bluefield. What the centers of excellence can do is they can test a person on their competency in one of several areas. And the big areas have to do with credentialing with three different groups. First you have the American Welding Society, AWS, and there are, and I'll take that as my first really good example, there are a lot of miners I've talked to over the years, having spent half a decade or more at the Virginia Employment Commission, who have had some welding experience along the way of various levels, a little bit, a whole lot, a tremendous amount, but they don't have a certificate in welding. Well, what one of the centers of excellence can do is test that person, figure out, okay, do you need to go for the AWS credential now? Are you that good? If so, the Power Grant monies are there not only for the testing, but to also help transportation and get them to the testing site and that sort of thing. If they have quite a bit of knowledge, but they could use a little assistance and maybe a little practice to get up to snuff before taking the test, the real test, then the Center of Excellence would help provide that training. And this could be 1 or 2 days, an afternoon, this could be a week, this could be a couple of weeks, a month, 6 weeks, maybe even a couple of months. But it wouldn't necessarily need 6 months to a year to get up to a certain level. Then let's say, as a third example, this particular person has some knowledge and says, yeah, I mean, I could be a welder. I enjoy the work, and there might be some advanced manufacturing jobs that come up. There might be some construction jobs that come up. Another mine may open, you never know. I'd be glad to get certified as an industry-recognized credential with AWS. But when they test them, they find out this person is not quite that good. Maybe they know a lot, but their technique is no good. So then the Center of Excellence might do some training, but then they would refer them back to, for instance, Mountain Empire Community College, which actually has a cohort in welding, which I'm getting ready to talk about next. But there's also metalworking, there's the NIMS credential, and Siemens, level 1, level 2. These are the types of credentials that help toward mechatronics. That is the new buzzword, or at least it was new to me. We used to call it industrial maintenance, but it's advanced manufacturing oriented. So mechatronics can include electrical, pneumatic, hydraulic, stuff that is computer aided, like computer aided drafting, network systems. So there's an IT component to advanced manufacturing now. It could be that we could get someone certified level 2 Siemens, and that is an in-demand sort of credential, because that's an in-demand sort of occupation. The job or jobs may not be here today. That's not to say they won't be here in 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, because the Power Initiative looks at this thing from a very short term, then a medium term, and also a longer term. Short term, our workforce development specialists out in the field, for a dislocated worker anyway, Power Grant or not, we're always looking for, is there a job? It's very job driven. Better to go with a job than training or community college classes. But if there is no job today or no job possibilities right now, we can move them into one of the community college cohorts or have them tested in one of these areas. For machining, metalworking, you know, there are a lot of businesses, mom and pop shops along the supply chain that do machining. They perform some product or service for a coal company somewhere along the line. A lot of these people have experience, and they just don't have a nationally recognized credential. So that's the SFAM part of this puzzle. Now, second, Mountain Empire Community College has 3 classes that, and again, the community college term is cohort, and that means you're basically together with a bunch of people, your cohorts during this class. 29 credit hours leads to a career readiness certificate. They're offering welding, 3D design, and information technology. In fact, they may end up doing a couple of different information technology cohorts. One that is advanced manufacturing oriented because of that need for IT in advanced manufacturing. Another one that is more career readiness for companies that, say, for instance, need you to have a certain level of IT proficiency. Now, at Southwest Community College, they have cohorts in outdoor recreation and adventure tourism because of the growth of tourism and the potentialities over the next few years. Adventure tourism is the buzzword for become an entrepreneur, build your own business. These classes will teach you at Southwest how to market your business, how to write a business plan, how to find money from the Small Business Administration, the SBA, or other capital from investment firms or banks. So that, in a nutshell, as the Power Initiative exists today, the way the grant was written and the way we're running it, those are the offerings and those are the possible pathways to career success or a change in career or a temporary change in career that you might be able to take advantage of. So the first thing I want to do is invite the SFAM director, Jenny Gale Mitchum.
Lenny Gale.
What did I say?
Jenny.
Oh, okay.
Lenny Gale Mitchum, yeah, that's me.
Let's try Lenny. Let's do it. Stephanie Surratt, who is the director of the Centers of Excellence, is in Berlin, Germany. And I'm sure she's having a great time right now, but that is a business trip because that's where Siemens is. And in fact, the final credentialing that Siemens does, you actually have to fly or take a boat to Europe in order to do that. But Lenny's here to talk a little bit about advanced manufacturing and SFAM and what the Centers of Excellence can do for possibly you.
All right, thank you, Stephen. And that's So I'm the executive director of the Southwest Virginia Alliance for Manufacturing. We are a nonprofit organization that's all about supporting the sustainment and advancement of manufacturing in Southwest Virginia. So we do that in several ways. We work to build our collaborations for a focus on improving the image of manufacturing, filling the training and skills gap needs of manufacturers, and several different things. So what we're about is putting people in jobs in manufacturing, getting people excited about jobs in manufacturing, and then supporting manufacturers in any of their additional needs, training, linking them up with the legislators to make sure that things are happening in the best interest of manufacturing, things like that. So I'm glad that she pulled up our website here. If you actually go to manufacturing careers and then employment registration. So I'm in a position where I'm linked up with several manufacturers in the region. We're a membership-driven organization, and a lot of the larger manufacturers of Southwest Virginia are members of our organization. So what we can do is get your information. You can fill this form out, or you can just send me an email with your resume, and I can link you up with manufacturers who are have open positions and are looking for your skill set. So I'm happy to do that. That's about, that's what we do. Actually, somebody just called me yesterday to get my email to send me a resume, and actually was laid off from Ball Corporation. And I will say, one of the things that does make my job tough is when folks hear about layoffs. But there are 369 manufacturers in Southwest Virginia. That's defined by the Southwest Virginia, defined by the Tobacco Commission. Our Southwest Virginia isn't technically defined. We don't have a specific area so that we can kind of dip our toes in different counties as we want to. But as the Tobacco Commission defines Southwest Virginia, there's 369 manufacturing companies employing 18,000 individuals in our region. That's pretty impressive. So yeah, we hear in the news about layoffs and things, but that's what, maybe 3, 4, 5 this year out of 369. And so like major percentage of those are thriving. What we don't hear is that Sholey Packaging has not laid off people. I don't know if they've ever laid off people the whole time they've been in Chilhowie, Virginia. What we don't hear, what's not as flashy is how well Tadano Mantis is doing in Richlands. And these are the things that we don't hear, that don't pop up so much in the news. So don't feel so discouraged when you see those things, because there's a lot of really wonderful things happening in manufacturing in Southwest Virginia. And so I'm happy to accept your resumes. I apologize, I don't have enough. Actually, I might have enough business cards for everybody today since it's such a small group. So I'll be happy to give you my business card. Please reach out to me. So that's what we do, SFAM. So a few years ago, an opportunity presented itself through the Tobacco Commission to establish centers of excellence. There would be 3 centers, 2 in Southside Virginia and 1 in Southwest Virginia. SFAM applied to be the grantee, and we received that funding. So now we have a center of excellence in Abingdon, 3 satellite centers, as Stephen mentioned, 1 in Bluefield, 1 in Duffield, and 1 starting up in Withville. We also have several distance learning sites. 1 will be right here at this location to provide computer access and be able to do some of that distance learning type classwork. So it's a huge region that we're trying to cover through the Center of Excellence. Southwest Virginia is roughly the size of Connecticut. So it's no joke. So what we said, we don't want to ask people, you guys, to come all the way to Abingdon every time you need training. So if we can establish these distance learning sites and these satellite centers, it helps to make that distributed model and create that distributed model and make things a bit easier for the people of Southwest Virginia. So I'm not the director of the Center of Excellence. I'm the director of the organization that started the Center of Excellence, the executive director. So I can give you an overview, probably go into a bit more detail than Stephen did. Kind of stole my thunder a little bit. But I'll tell you what Stephanie has sent along to me to tell you guys, and then please reach out to us for additional information. So the 3 goals of the Center of Excellence are to strengthen and support the current training pathway through the community colleges. So it starts with the community colleges, as Stephen said, as part of that Center of Excellence is the advanced level, so we want to get those those prerequisite trainings that are already happening at the Center of Excellence. So the second is to increase the number of job seekers for jobs in advanced manufacturing. As I said, that's already what my organization has been doing, increasing the number of people that want to pursue jobs in manufacturing. And the third is to develop and offer fast-track, non-credit training that prepares students for third-party certifications. So the COE offers assessment and training for advanced manufacturing in in-demand skills and certifications. And as Stephen said, that's through the American Welding Society, certificate as a machinist through the National Institute of Metalworking Skills, and industrial maintenance mechanic certification through the Mechatronic Siemens. So we can assess you and determine if you are already at the skill level to receive those certifications, or help you to get on a training plan to be able to get there eventually. So we aim to skill the current workforce so that our existing industry can sustain and grow, but also focus on bringing in new industry into our region. The whole reason the Center of Excellence was established was through this big, expensive report through the Boston Consultant Group that identified those 3 training areas would be of the most need: welding, machining, industrial maintenance, or mechatronics. And so what that report said is, sort of if you build it, they will come. So if we have this awesome, advanced, qualified workforce, it is a huge tool for economic developers to say to some company who's maybe a supplier of Rolls-Royce that could bring in 200, 300, 400 employees to our region. Yeah, we've got the workforce that you're looking for right here, and we've been putting them out for you. Come on down. It's a great place to be. And so that's what we're about, strengthening our current manufacturers and potentially bringing manufacturers to our region. Experienced welders, machinists, and industrial maintenance mechatronics can receive their next level certification to be able to really separate themselves from the rest of the competition. So as we said, entry-level training, early training is offered through our partners at Mountain Empire, Southwest Community College, Wytheville, and Virginia House Community College. So we've been working with the community college and the career tech centers to make sure that the training is aligned so that we can develop and strengthen the pipeline or the pathway to these types of positions with higher wages, more benefits, and through training assistance with manufacturers. As I said, our main campus is in Abingdon. It's at the right near the Higher Ed Center at the Small Business Incubator. And as I said, there are 7 distance learning sites throughout our 14 county, 3 city area, and 3 satellite centers. Currently, we are assessing experienced welders and machinists by appointment. So if you're interested in, as Stephen said, if you've got some experience and you're interested in being assessed, please contact us and we'd be happy to set that up for you. And then Siemens courses will be advertised and scheduled over the summer months. That's where Stephanie is at, talking with the folks at Siemens and getting prepared for us to be able to offer those trainings. So that's your big, if Stephanie was here, she'd really get you excited and energized because she's one of the most energetic people I've ever met in my life. And she'd probably talk for about an hour about the Center of Excellence. So you're kind of lucky that you got me because I've got the overview. Any questions? Well, I'm going to go ahead and step back there and grab my business cards. How many folks are here that aren't like speakers or trainers here today? 2, 4, 5, 6. Perfect. Okay. Wonderful. All right. Well, that's all I got. I'm going to grab my business card for you.
Thank you so much, Jenny.
Thank you.
I called you Jenny.
I was going to let it go. Great. Thank you.
Tell Stephanie I said hey.
Oh, okay. I will.
Let me take care of one little housekeeping before. Available at Mountain Empire Community College. John, are you here on an official capacity to represent MECC? Did Tommy Clements tap on your shoulder and say, hey, would you go to Clintwood for me?
No, not really. But I can talk a little bit about it.
Well, John has a connection, for those of you who don't know John Schoolcraft, he has a connection with Mountain Empire. If you would, I've mentioned the 3 major areas: welding, 3D design, which by the way is not the wave of the future, it's already here, and they're already working on 4D design. So this is maybe an area to get in on now, early. And the other is information technology with a particular slant, one of the cohorts toward advanced manufacturing, another one that could be useful in other occupations. would, please.
Steve's already talked about the three things that we're looking at as far as certifications, credentialing, and that sort of thing. But he made a comment a while ago that I think is pretty important, and he said, we are very much job-driven. And from our perspective, that's what we're about at Mountain Empire. We're very much job-driven. We want the people who come to Mountain Empire to wind up being able to go into the workforce immediately after training or graduation at Mountain Empire, or very soon thereafter. So we put a focus on that. Now, some of the other things that you might want to take a look at are these. Electromechanical training. We do a program in electromechanical training, and we don't have any kind of committed number to go to work for Eastman, but it's related to Eastman and other industries that would be looking at that type of training. So that's something that you might want to take a look at. The other thing is you may want to look at a nursing program. You may want to look at heating and air conditioning, those sorts of things. And those are available at Mountain Empire, and you can move on into a job pretty quickly with some of those. In fact, I was talking with a friend of mine that lives in Georgia, and he said, if there are people up here who have certification in heating and air conditioning, they can come down here and go to work right now. So it may mean that you relocate, at least for a little while, but there's opportunities, and I would encourage you to explore some of those. The heating and air conditioning is a big one. Electromechanical is a big one. Nursing would be a big change for a lot of people, but that's something that healthcare is a big field, open field, so you might want to take a look at that. The other thing is, if you're laid off from the mining industry, I would encourage you to keep up your certifications. If you have certifications as an underground miner, surface miner, I encourage you to keep those certifications current. If you're a foreman, if you're an electrician, make sure that you keep those certifications current, because you may have an opportunity to go to work somewhere in the mining industry at some point in time. Advanced first aid and EMT training. If you're certified in those things, keep those certifications up. If you need help in getting the training to maintain that certification, contact us, and I'll give you some business cards as well. My name is John Schoolcraft. I work in workforce development down at Mountain Empire, and have worked at the college teaching some classes since I sort of semi-retired from Alpha about 4 years ago. But we'll be glad to help you. We'll do anything we can to assist you in training and obtaining employment. Steve, I thank you.
Sure, John. You're always eloquent. That's what I like about John. He always comes to the point, and after he talks, you know what it was he said. Mountain Empire, like Southwest, has a strong emphasis upon workforce development. And I think you can see there was something kind of hidden in what John was saying that I would like to bring up now. I was going to mention it later, but I think it makes more sense now. It's a good segue. The Power Grant has specific community college cohorts and specific testing credentialing possibilities. But the first thing that has to happen is you have to be enrolled in our Dislocated Worker Program. That's part of WIOA, the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. When you are in the Dislocated Worker Program, there are other opportunities besides the ones that we've mentioned here that are specifically power. And just because it's not one of the Power Grant selected cohorts doesn't mean you couldn't do that. And we'll take this example of the RN program. Okay, perhaps at some point we may be able to get some flexibility on some of the other classwork. Well, registered nurse is one of those that I have actually taught to laid off miners who are interested to get out completely of the coal industry and do something completely different. I talked to one gentleman who said, well, I've been in the mines for about a decade. He was a young guy, he was about 30, 31, 32. For about a decade now. My dad was a miner, my grandfather was a miner, he said, you know, it tends to be up and down, boom and bust, and I've always wanted to be a nurse. He said, I know that sounds crazy, but that's what I want to be. And healthcare is an area, as the baby boomer generation gets older and older, is going to continue to have job opportunities. So that's really what I want to do. If I find another job in something else, or even if it's mining related in the meantime, I might take it. But can you hook me up with the folks that do nursing training? So I did, and I made a referral to one of our workforce development specialists. Now this, of course, is well before the Power Grant. This is about a year ago. And that's just an idea, an example of flexibility of helping people figure out what's a good match for them. For someone else, it may be a Class A CDL to go on the road. It just depends upon the individual. But I did want to mention that. Thanks for bringing that up, John. Now, Cordova Ratliff is a career advisor with Southwest Virginia Community College, and she's going to talk a little bit about the outdoor recreation and the adventure tourism classes available at Southwest.
Oh, snap, crackle, pop as I stand up. Oh my gosh. Sitting too long in the car ride over here.
Maybe you need an RN.
I might. Something's up, yes. Yeah, my name's Cordova Ratliff. I'm new with the Adventure Tourism and Outdoor Recreation Program. I'm very excited because just driving through our area, I think it's just filled with beauty. I think everybody can agree we all have a love for this area. The history, keep trying to self-educate myself on just past that there is potential for tourism in our area. It is coming, as you've seen, like with Spearhead Trails, Breaks Interstate Park. We have a lot of, and even newer businesses that are coming through, opening up kayaking businesses and that kind of thing. So with our adventure, on August 29th, we will be beginning 2 cohorts. That is the fast-tracked group classes that traditionally 29 credit hours takes about a year in traditional classes. So it's squished down so that you can get out, get a job, start your own business, whatever your desire is with the program, in 6 months. So this upcoming cohorts, both of them will be held Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays at Southwest Virginia Community College campus from 8 till 4. You have an hour break in the middle for lunch. So they are longer days, but it's to get you all prepared and get you out as quickly as possible. So with the adventure tourism cohorts, it focuses on, like he said before, there's marketing classes, there's also accounting classes for small businesses. We will help you, I will be your career coach. We also work on easy soft skills, because some people, even I was amazed when I started looking for a job again at how much resumes have changed from when I was in school to doing them now. I mean, they have opened it up that people's pictures are on there now, that I'm going, so I was like, so I will help you do that as well, because that is needed in certain circumstances. And also, we also do the career readiness certificates as well to prepare you for those, because job seekers are looking, employers are looking for those from their employees in certain circumstances. So the adventure tourism, though, again, that is based on if you were interested in opening your small business, like a small business of your own. I had a gentleman that came 2 days ago, and he was a 3rd-generation coal miner, and he's like, as far as he called it schooling. As far as schooling goes, that is not my thing. He's like, but I love working with my hands. I love tinkering. That's what I always did in the mines. He had welding experience as well, but he was wanting to get out, and his dream is to open a ATV repair, which is very heavily needed, according to the Spearhead Trails people, to base his business around the trails to help fix people's ATVs when they're out running. And he's like, that's just what, and I'm like, well, hot diggity dog. And he wants to do our outdoor recreation cohort. Outdoor recreation prepares students to be outdoor leaders so that you can get a job with Spearhead Trails, an outfitter, a local national state park, any outdoor recreational venue. Both programs, they overlap a little bit, so it is possible for people to get certifications in both. They also have the opportunity to earn nationally recognized credentials like Wilderness Remote First Aid and Training, which we have other businesses still bringing in their employees just to take those classes, so that if someone was out on a trail, out in the middle of the woods, I mean, even people who work with lumber, they have come for these classes so that if someone were injured, how would you sustain them until you could get them to the necessary appropriate steps of help, of aid. So that's through the American Red Cross, also Microsoft Digital Literacy. That has been, I realized with our students, some of them, they're like, I know how to turn a computer on. You know, and with modern day age now, computers are used for everything, and they're always changing. So it's allowing our students to get back in there and get a feel of Microsoft Digital Literacy and have that certificate to take with them and put on their resume to say, hey, I can do this. So those are our two cohorts in a nutshell. We're extremely excited. We had one person who, he had been a coal miner, loved the outdoors. He was a fisherman, hunter, all of that stuff. And he's like, I want to do something with the skills that I already have. So he was very, very smart. I learned this from Becky Nave with the Virginia Tourism Corporation because I was like, wow. So she's helped me learn a lot. But she was telling me that where he had this land, he was like standing there going, what am I going to do now? You know? And he was looking at the river and he's like, I have fished this river my entire life. He's like, I know every spot in this area. He called up a big corporation and just asked, hey, do you send your CEOs on any of these fishing trips? Like, you know, team building, you know, the big things. They're like, yeah, we do. He had his next 2 months booked up just from that one company, sending their employees, and he would take them out fishing and got paid for it. So then he realized after that, he's like, well, across the river, apparently there was an equestrian trail. So, where he has all this property, now he's building barns to house those horses as well. So he's just taking his own little thing, and there are funding opportunities. Some people are like, oh my gosh, but how would I do it? There are funding opportunities because they are really focusing on tourism in Southwest Virginia. Like that is a huge push, trying to get people to come see how we see it. And there's more opportunities than we realize. Clinch River Adventures, I took my boys. You can go inner tubing, which is the most relaxing thing. So seeing my kids, the water was up from the recent storms. But I mean, we went shooting over there and seeing my kids bop, and I'm like hanging onto the side, but it was so relaxing. So, and it was affordable too, so bringing people in. And the adventure tourism, by the way, it's bed and breakfast, it's restaurants, it's breweries, it's the, anything that would help bring in the tourists, let them stay for a few days, all of that's needed, even campsites along the Clinch River where they're with the Clinch River Valley Initiative. There's campsites needed if you own property that you would be willing to allow people to get out and pitch a tent. There's hardcore outdoor enthusiasts out there that they've asked, hey, where can we get out? And a lot of people right now is like, not mine, you know? So there's, if you're open to it, there's a lot of opportunities that can be explored and help build up this area. So if you have questions, I gave everybody an information packet. It has more detailed information in there. And yeah, thank you guys.
And a gentleman sat down and we just started talking. He just started a kayaking business in Cleveland. Have any of you been to Cleveland lately? Okay, I'm from Pound, and Cleveland I think is smaller than even Pound.
Yeah.
But they have something Pound doesn't have. They have about a mile along the Clinch River. So, and this guy used to be a pharmacist. He was the type pharmacist who flew all over where, you know, the United States all the time. He made, let's put it mildly, really good money. Well, he was smart. He stuck a lot of this in savings and investments because he wanted one day to get out of being a pharmacist and do what he wanted to do, which was entrepreneurial activities primarily devoted to tourism. So he saw Cleveland as this potential for great growth. And now all of a sudden, you know, he's making money. But it's just funny, I have come across so many folks who have said tourism, you could never make any money at that unless you owned your own business. Okay, if that's true, so why don't you run your own business? Well, because I don't know anything about that. I don't know how to write a business plan. I don't know how to do payroll. I don't know anything about accounting. I don't know who's hired to be my bookkeeper or whatever. In steps Southwest Virginia Community College, because that's what that adventure tourism cohort is all about. No, of course you don't. They don't teach you this stuff in high school. or elementary school, you know, they barely teach you how to, I don't know, how many here know how to balance their checkbook from a class they took in high school? Cricket, my point exactly, which is why people get in trouble when they get into the, you know, into the real world. But anyway, just, you know, that just goes to show you that someone from outside can come here and do that. Why not us? Now, running your own business may not be your thing. Okay, it might be somebody else's thing, and that's one of the reasons why this cohort was included.
I just realized I had forgotten to mention, when I was talking about the outdoor recreation, this cohort, well, the one that's happening, it's already happening right now. And then the next August 29th cohort, it is focused on trail design and maintenance because we partnered with Spearhead Trails. And everyone who completes the cohort, that's there, you can't get a job with them, these jobs, outside of going through the training, because some of the people from Spearhead Trails are actually teaching the classes. So they're training the employees the way that they would want to be trained. And it's looking at the scope of the trail, water runoff, how to maintain these trails from the ATVs coming through with the least amount of environmental impacts as well. And they will be hiring, as of right now, 5 to 6 positions, and they are state positions with state benefits. So that is part of it too. So we've had, and another thing I would like to mention is it's through the Power Grant, spouses of dislocated coal industry workers are eligible as well to help bring in that second income. And we've had surprisingly a lot of ladies that they're like, I'm all about the outdoors. I love hiking. I love da-da-da-da-da. I like to go hunting with my husband. I can ride an ATV. So, and I'm like, ooh, I woman, hear me roar when I hear that, you know, that they're stepping up to the plate. So remember that too, because some of the husbands, they're like, that is not for me. And the wives are like, I can do it. And I just think that's really awesome that it does. So it does include the wives in these training programs as well. So, that's
Good point. Let me now introduce you to Melissa Mullins, who has been trying to stay in the corner out of the way. But Melissa is a workforce development specialist. She works for the nonprofit Clinch Valley Community Action. And to understand how workforce development on the state level works, through the WIOA legislation from a couple of years ago, which updated the old WIA, Workforce Investment Act, what happens is our Workforce Development Board contracts with providers, in this case Tazewell County, which then contracts with whoever happens to come up with the bid when the bids go out for being in the field and offering these various services. So Melissa doesn't work for me directly or for the board directly, but she's part of the team. You know, we have a lot of partners when it comes to workforce development. But Melissa can explain, and will do so at this moment, something more about, first of all, the displaced homemaker category, which is a separate category from displaced worker, because that's an area of this power grant that we need to stress is for the spouses of dislocated coal industry workers. And then she's going to talk about the dislocated worker eligibility in general.
Well, again, my name is Melissa Mullins. I know quite a few of you guys. I'm with Clinch Valley Community Action. I know that was a mouthful. We all have our little chains of command. But in a nutshell, I am the Workforce Development and Recruitment Specialist, and I'm based out of Dickinson County. My office is actually downstairs. And if anybody wants to contact me, you can see me afterwards and get my business card. But my number is 926-4865 if we need to discuss some things further. Now, as far as the dislocated worker program, what we look at is if you are laid off from a facility and you are unlikely to return to that occupation. And unfortunately, right now, the coal industry is at that point. We also have the portion of if a facility has been closed or announced to be closed, and a lot of facilities and coal industry companies have been. You know, we do have a lot of warn notices and different things like that. So what we do is when I meet with someone, I tell people, okay, I need your layoff letter. Well, I don't have a layoff letter because a lot of employers don't do that. So what we do is, we can contact the company, get your last pay stub, just connect you with that company, and most everybody, supervisors or HR staff's like, yeah, it's, because of the decline of the coal industry. You do have to be a citizen of the, United States. We verify, birth certificate, we need driver's license, social security card, just some simple things like that. And of course, men, y'all have to be registered with Selective Service. So it's pretty cut and dry. Now, one of the things with the Dislocated Worker Program, we do not look at your finances, because obviously if you've been in the coal industry, you've made a lot of money. And with our other programs, we do look at some, income base versus household size. Because, if we looked at your last 6 months of income and you've made, $60,000, you're probably going to fall out of, eligibility. So, the federal government has deemed, with the laws and the rules and everything, the income's not an issue. So we don't have to worry about that. We just have to document, we don't have to verify that. We do have the displaced homemaker portion as well with the Dislocated Worker Program. There's a few criteria. I won't go into a whole lot of detail, but I do encourage, gentlemen, if you have a wife, she's, welcome to call me, contact me. Anybody that ever has any questions, call me. We'll talk about your situation, see what we can do for you. We are working, with the Power Grant. This is kind of new for all of us. We're all trying to, learn as we go and things like that. But we also do have other programs as well. We have, the adult portion. We have the out-of-school youth portion. So if anybody is wanting to look at training options, if you have family or friends, I know this is a Power Grant thing, but of course I've got to blow our WIOA whistle because, I'm all about recruitment. So if you know of anybody that might be interested, that is, looking for maybe some training options, or somebody that don't know what training options are out there, or just needs a job, have them to contact me, and I'll be more than glad to sit with them, talk with them, see what we can do, because I am a very strong advocate for resumes. I know we discussed that. When you go online, a lot of people don't have a means of getting on the computer. We have computers available. I will sit and I will work with people. I've had people that's not even enrolled in our program. I will sit and help them to develop a good resume, to kind of talk with them about job search strategies. And we do randomly have workshops, and they're available and open to the public. So, like I said, definitely give me a call, and I'll be glad to talk to y'all about that. We did actually take a tour with at the Cholet place that Lenny was talking about in Chilhowie, and I was very impressed. Never really understood what advanced manufacturing was. We toured the facility. And it seemed like there was a lot of opportunities within advanced manufacturing, jobs that are stable, jobs that, you can have advancement. And some of these trainings are key. Yes, maybe some people may have to travel, a little bit, but, there are jobs available out there and possibilities for advancements. And we also did, which was my best day at work ever, I told Steve, we took the tour down in St. Paul. We went four-wheel ride. I got muddy. It was awesome. And I'm thinking, there are a lot of opportunities out there for our region. We live in one of the most beautiful places in the world, and it's not going to happen overnight. But I think opening that mindset that there are opportunities for us in Southwest Virginia, and just kind of tapping into that and seeing what we can do. And the opportunities are out there, with the Power Grant. Tell people to contact me. I mean, like I said, I don't just work with Power Grant, applicants. We do work with other folks as well. Does anybody have any questions, if I confused you or anything like that? Again, feel free to give me a call. Steve, did I cover everything? Or
Mention, I think it bears repeating, talk about the eligibility process, the intake process, because as John and I were talking about earlier, it is not a 5-minute interview. There's a lot to it. Now, there's a reason why there's a lot to it, but most people are not expecting 3 hours or 4 hours or half a day. So if you would talk to that.
Okay. Basically, when someone brings me all their information, and maybe some of people might attest to this, because I'm not gonna pinpoint anybody out, but I've had people say, wow, y'all have a lot of paperwork, and, yeah, all right, I'm just gonna talk about you. And it is a lot of paperwork, but you have to take into consideration, you know, we are federally funded, and when you're dealing with DOL, Department of Labor money, you know, we do have our rules to follow, but it is well worth it. When people come in, we do an orientation, let you know what our program's about, get your required documentation, like I said, driver's license, birth certificate, social security card, layoff letter, you know, those types of things. And, you know, the verifications, like right now I'm working with a fella, he's a dislocated worker, and I can't get a hold of the company because it's probably, you know, 4th of July week kind of, and they're off on for the whole week, and I can't call that company to verify, yes, in fact, he was laid off because of the decline of the coal industry. You know, we do have our rules and regulations to follow. So once we get all this information in, and one of the things was touched on was the Career Readiness Certificate. That is something that we are huge advocates for people to get the Career Readiness Certificate. I don't know if anybody knows what it is, but this is something that you know, I proctor through Mount Empire and Southwest. It covers reading, math, and locating information. There's 3 portions. And I will tell you, it is roughly like a 3-hour assessment, but it is worth it. We have, you know, different levels from, you know, bronze to platinum. And this is the certificate. Once you get this certificate signed by the governor, we encourage you to put that with resumes and with applications. It shows an employer that, you know, you have some of those basic skills to be employed. Because, you know, they might not know that you can actually, you know, read or you know, do some simple math. Because a lot of jobs, when you have a job, what do you have to do? You have to have some basic skills. You need to be able to read, you know, certain things. You may need to be able to do certain math calculations and things like that. So this is just one more notch on your career belt that we want you to go away from our program with more than you come in with. And we also do work with the Microsoft Digital Literacy Certificate, and this shows, because today we're in the world of technology. Everybody wants, you know, people to have computer skills and things like that. So we do work with you to try to get, you know, a Microsoft Digital Literacy Certificate. And yet again, this is something that you can give to an employer, you know, with an application or resume. You know, hey, you know, I have some computer skills. Again, this is another notch. The more credentials and the more education that you get, the more employable that you folks are, and that's what we're here for. Of course, our end goal is for you to be employed. Let me touch on a couple of other little things. Not everybody wants to go to school. You know, I have 2 children. One, you know, she's going to college, she loves studying. I have another one, he would jump off of a bridge if he had to go one day to school. They're totally different, and I get that. Not everybody, you can't put everybody in the same box. So one of the things that when we sat down with folks, we just try to listen. We try to talk with them and understand. We're not going to push anybody to do anything that they want, you know, don't want to do. They may be more suitable for what we call an on-the-job training. That is where we can place you. We can contact an employer that may have an opening. Hey, you know, I've got Steve Mullins here, and, you know, he's got these certificates and he has these skills. But, you know, he doesn't have, you know, the full qualifications, but, you know, I feel very confident because, you know, we go to bat for our folks. You know, feel like he would be a really good candidate. Would you, your business be willing to hire him on, and we can do an on-the-job training contract. And basically, we can pay half the wages. Let's say you're making $20 an hour, we could reimburse that employer $10 an hour to hire you, to offset some of that training cost. Folks, businesses lose so much money by training people that don't stay. And they get very discouraged, and they're very uneasy about hiring people. That's why a lot of times they're really, really super picky. So that is like, you know, to a business, you're saying, hey, you know, we can, you know, reimburse you. That's just like dollar signs to people. You know, I've had a lot of bigger companies that don't want to fool that, and that's fine, but we need to offer that to, you know, some of these folks. And we've had a lot of people that have, a lot of businesses that have snatched it. We've had people employed and still employed in jobs because of the on-the-job training. So, you know, there's a lot of good with our program. So like I said, definitely, you know, feel free to give me a call. And I will kind of finalize what I'm saying because I've talked a lot. I'm sorry I get program. But once we get all of your information, we get you back, we get you enrolled, and, that can take, like, I'm getting ready to enroll someone a little bit later. He's like, how long is this gonna take? It's roughly like an hour and a half, to finalize the paperwork, because, we have paperwork we have to put in the computer, and then, finalize and print out. Everybody has to sign everything, and we want to make sure we have a good plan for you, go over if you have any questions. So, that finalized, process of being enrolled could take, maybe up to 2 hours, possibly. Depends. Sometimes I've sat and talked with people for hours. Just, okay, hey, you're enrolled, what are we gonna do? What's our next step for you? And, once you're enrolled, we can help with training costs, or, supportive service, mileage reimbursement, certifications fees, license, tools, uniforms, whatever you're in according to our guidelines and our budget. Sometimes we do have budget constraints. However, we will do what we can to help you folks out. So there are a lot of opportunities, because I think we are a hidden jewel in the workforce community. A lot of people don't know about us, but tell all your friends about our program, and I would be more than glad to talk to y'all. Okay? All right, thank you.
Thanks, Melissa. And I think her final point is really important in terms of why would you spend half a day enrolling in the Dislocated Worker Program, and then specifically being co-enrolled in the Power Grant Program? Well, once you are in, as she said, we go to bat for you. So this is where referrals to job orders on the Virginia Workforce Connection website through the Virginia Employment Commission might come in handy. You're not just some Tom, Dick, Jane, Harry, Fred. You're a particular person with a set of skills, with a resume that can be shown, because it's right there on that website. They use the same website that we used to use at the BEC, or they still use at the BEC. But I'm glad Melissa mentioned the supportive services and financial assistance for, say, childcare expenses, for mileage reimbursement. So if you're thinking, well, it's not like I have a lot of extra cash to take classes at Mountain Empire or at Southwest, or drive to Abingdon or Duffield or Bluefield to get tested for my metalworking skills or whatever. Once you're in the program, there are grant monies available to reimburse you for that. So you're not really out anything, and that can mean a lot, when money is tight. I would like to ask each of you on your responses as to how did you hear about us, or how did you hear about the particular info session. I wanted to qualify card in the mail. Got that. That was easy. Rod, when you say newspaper, which?
Tato.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm covering it for the Stars.
I got you. And let's see, Nathaniel, when you say social media, which particular one?
Facebook.
Facebook. And Donnie, when you say newspaper,
It's a county paper.
is the Dickinson Star?
Yeah.
And then Joe, which newspaper?
Good brother.
And then Jason,
Dickens Star.
and then Mitzi got it from Melissa. Okay, well that just gives me a better idea of how word travels. Does anybody have any questions about the Power Initiative, the Power Grant monies, the WIOA program, Dislocated Worker Program, the cohorts at the 2 community colleges, the testing, the credentialing possibilities with SPAM's Centers of Excellence? I feel like a teacher at the end of the lecture.
You sound like a teacher.
I should have come in blue jeans then.
That awkward moment of silence, and they're like,
T-shirt.
don't call on me.
And then I could, do one of these. Well, so many of my professors in college never dressed up. They came off the farm, or whatever he just got through, plowing something at his house. Well, thank you all for coming. Hope we were informative, and also hope we were able to solidify any of the questions that you had by me or Melissa or Cordova or Lenny talking. But I will make one final point. For any of these, either the community college classes or the testing by one of the centers of excellence, you can contact them for more information. No problem. But we need you to be enrolled in the Dislocated Worker Program and then co-enrolled, which is nothing, but in the Power Grant Program officially before you step in for your first class or your testing that you might do at one of the centers of excellence. Big important point. This is not just a bureaucratic do B before you do C. It's important because unless we do it that way, the Power Grant money is not going to be available. That's just the rule. No way around that one. So if you are interested, you could, for instance, you could make an appointment with Cordova or contact Tommy Clements at Mount Empire and say, hey, I'm interested in this or that. And go ahead at the whole financial aid scenario and see if you can get Pell Grant money and all of that. But you have to be enrolled with the Dislocated Worker Program first before you step in that first day. We can't backdate. We can't go back and say, yeah. So the portal, although you might go to one of the community colleges or to the Centers of Excellence and talk to them, they're going to refer you straight back to whoever the workforce development specialist in your area is. And Melissa covers all of Dickinson County. So thank you all again. Appreciate it. If you have any questions, you have my business card and my email address. And of course, Melissa is here physically most days. If not, you're dismissed and we'll take a break.